Steve Rex at 425. It's where we live today. I'm not at exit 425. I'm over in Pad 1 at Iroquois Park in Whitby. And this is a place where I'll be spending a lot of time this winter doing the public address for the Whitby Junior Wolves U22 Elite team. But I'll occasionally be in a similar spot over at the Chestnut Hill Development's Recreation Complex, Delaney Rink, as a backup guy for the Pickering Panthers OJHL Junior A team. This week, we're talking to Sean Meyers, the general manager of those same Pickering Panthers, about the changes that have taken place in the league, as well as the changes that have taken place with the Pickering Panthers with the upcoming 25-26 season that really is just a few weeks away. Their training camp starts on August 18th, but their plans for this year are well underway. I'm sure the coaching staff and the management staff are just itching to go. So let's talk to Sean Meyers about what's happening, find out what's going on over in the land of the Pickering Panthers. Today's guest at Exit 425.
In the main corridor of exit 425.
Local politicians to connect with families.
What are some unique challenges?
Thanks very much, Steve, for having me.
Exit 425. It's where we live. Sean, welcome, and thanks for meeting me here at Exit 425.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sean, you've worked as staff for several teams and 2 universities over your career. Describe your path to becoming a Pickering Panther.
Yeah, it's been a long path getting here, but super excited to get going. I started off, I guess, back working in business ops for the Oshawa Generals. Transitioned from there to Ontario Tech University, where I kind of got my feet wet for the first time with hockey operations. Got mentored there by Curtis Hodgins, one of the greatest coaches in the Durham area, and he kind of gave me a lot of experience in scouting, recruiting, hockey, every real facet of hockey operations. So I was with him for 6 years working with Ontario Tech. A lot of fun. University hockey, super underrated, and that kind of helped me get to the position with the Pickering Panthers. So our goalie coach on Ontario Tech, Dave Kennedy, was goalie coach for Pickering as well, and I told him about my interest in junior hockey, and it's always kind of been the end goal for me to really get involved with the junior team. I think there's just so many fascinating areas of the business, and player development's always been a big part of my interest and passion, so junior hockey always made sense. So Dave introduced me to Rob Pearson, and Rob brought me over, so I spent the last 2 seasons with Rob on the Panthers, and a lot of fun doing a lot of scouting and recruiting pretty well across Ontario, trying to find good U16 and U18 players. And when Rob was stepping down at the end of the year, he put my name forward as someone who would be a good candidate to take over as general manager. And thankfully, ownership group liked the suggestion, and here we are now. So I'm super excited to get going first year as general manager. And I think we've got a super exciting team that we're going to be putting forward this year.
That's awesome. What prompted you to have a career in hockey in the first place? It's not an easy one.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up playing hockey and watching hockey like most kids in the area did. And it really kind of clicked for me when I went to university. I went to Laurentian University and studied sports administration there. And, that was my first real taste at working in the hockey industry. I did a few different internships there with the university team there. And I also did a PR internship with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it was really cool to see different areas of the hockey industry. And when I was taking that course, I realized how passionate I was for hockey, and just how many different areas of the game there were and how many areas I enjoyed personally. So the goal was always hockey operations, and just took a few different steps to get me to this point.
You've done a lot of work recruiting and scouting players for different levels of hockey in Canada. Describe the type of player that gets and holds your attention.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to work with a few different programs doing all kinds of different scouting. So the last 2 years I worked with the scout.ca doing a lot of OHL draft scouting. And that's really been beneficial for my role at Pickering. I would say there's not really one particular type of player that I like. Obviously, hardworking players. I'm always looking for potential in players and their character. Watching them throughout their entire shift and game and stuff like that. There's a lot of good players that maybe aren't valued at their U16 year, but they develop later on. So I'm always out there traveling the rinks, watching a lot of film on players, and I'd say character's huge. I've learned that from a lot of good coaches in the past, that you want to get good guys in your locker room, and there's also the skill piece there as well. So just watching the different areas of the game, hockey's evolved so much the last few years, and there's so much value in players, who work hard, can skate, and have great upside. So we'll continue to look for those kind of players in Pickering. But I wouldn't say there's necessarily one specific type of player, but we'll keep looking for the best players out there.
Sometimes you don't know what you're looking for until you see it, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You'd be surprised. The rinks you go to, sometimes you don't think you're going to see much talent there, and you might find a diamond in the rough. So always out there. Myself and a few of our scouts, we're always in the rinks in season, even out of season. It's middle of summer, and we're trying to get out still to watch some showcases. So you never know who you're going to come across.
As a general manager, you get to do a lot off the ice and outside of the room that affects what Coach Armour can do with the players on the ice. And what's your priority as camp approaches and the season begins shortly after that?
Yeah, it's definitely been the busiest month, I would say, leading up here to our camp. We're 2 weeks out today from the start of our training camp, so it's coming quick, and we've got a lot of moving pieces right now. But my job is essentially to find the best players to build out the roster that Connor can coach once we get going. So our roster's coming together pretty nicely right now. We've got a lot of exciting players coming up, and I'm excited about a lot of the players returning as well. So we've got a really good core that we're going to be putting out there. And heading into camp, I'm just trying to find the last few pieces to bring to compete for the last few roster spots. So it's going to be an exciting couple weeks once we get going with camp. So just continuing to chat with players and agents and just finding the best players available to bring to that camp, just to round out our roster so we can field the best team possible going into the year.
An OJHL team takes a lot of money. It's just a significant operation. Where does that money come from?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things is the operation of a junior team. It's not cheap. It's very, very expensive to run a team. There's a lot of costs that don't necessarily get thought about. You're skating almost every day practicing. You've got 2 to 3 games a week that you got to pay for ice time, refs, bus trips, some hotels. There's tons of expenses, and teams are fortunate to have good ownership. So we're fortunate enough to have a good ownership group in Pickering that supports a team and is able to finance all the expenses and whatnot. So players do pay fees to play in the league and to play on the team. And, there's definitely costs, but a lot of costs are offset by ownership and sponsors and stuff like that. So those are a couple of the areas we're looking to expand this year in Pickering. We're starting to really reach out to a lot of local businesses to see who wants to get involved, and building out the partnerships within our local community. So we're going to continue to work on that, and we're excited about the direction it's going. But like you said, it's not cheap to have a junior hockey team, and we continue to look for ways to make it more affordable.
At first blush, it looks like the new NCAA eligibility rules are a death knell for CJHL hockey. What are the rules, and what are your thoughts about the likely effect on the OJ?
I think it's definitely changed things, all these rule changes and whatnot. I wouldn't say it's necessarily negatively affected us. It's just changed things. I think the way that things have transitioned, the OJHL is going to be a bit of a younger league now. We're finding a lot more interest from players, in Canada and the US that want to come over and play in our league. And, being a guy who loves scouting and player development, I welcome the opportunity to find these players and help develop them. We saw last year we had Gavin Betts here in Pickering, and now he's doing all kinds of successful things at the OHL level and nationwide. So we're looking to continue adding pieces like that, and whether we have them here for a year or two, that's okay. When I talk to players, I let them know that this is a junior hockey league that's focused on developing players. So if they come to Pickering and they're a rock star for a year and OHL teams come knocking, we're happy to support that player development. So that's not an issue on our end. And speaking more to the NCAA side of things, as I mentioned, I've worked in U Sports for the last 7 years, and I still think there's great opportunities there, whether it's NCAA opportunities for our players or if it's U Sports opportunities. There's some great potential there for players. So we continue to work with our veteran players, our O5s and our O6s. We'll help them try and find homes next year. They'll be competing with OHL players, but that's nothing new to them. So we had 2 graduates from our team last year that went U Sports and 2 that have gone to the NCAA. So the OJHL is still a great development league, but it's going to continue to produce great university hockey players as well. So this isn't the end of the road for those players. We'll continue to support them and develop them and get them to their right homes. So I truly think that this rule change has opened a lot of doors, which is welcomed, and these kids don't have to necessarily make a decision at 16. And I support the change. I think that it works out well, and I think there might be a little bit of trickle down over the first few years, but it'll all balance itself out in the long run.
That's great information and good news. Most players dream of the NHL, and the OHL is a step up towards that goal. How important is your relationship with teams in the O and the CHL?
I think it's super important. I would say that I try and connect with every team in the OHL that might be, willing to answer my call just to discuss their prospects or players we might have available here in Pickering. We had a handful of players last year who played with us and also played for OHL teams, so that's important. We don't have an affiliate team here in Pickering, so we work with quite a few different OHL teams, and we continue to develop good relationships with certain teams, but the door is open there for any team to reach out to us and potentially place a prospect here. And in return, if we have a player that's playing like a rock star and is ready for the OHL, like, we're completely ready to return the favor. I think there's stepping stones to hockey. Like you said, it goes, from the OJHL to the CHL right up to the NHL. So we'll continue to work with teams, and I think it's super important that teams in our league continue to work with those CHL teams to advance players, but also focus on developing them into the best player possible.
An important part of the process is the recruiting interview. So could you describe how the conversation with a player and his family might go in a recruiting interview?
Yeah, no, I've had tons of, as you say, recruiting interviews this summer. It's been super busy trying to find new players for our programs. So I've had a lot of those calls, and I like to consider them more like conversations with families. I want to make sure that their fit is as good with us as our fit is bringing them in too as a player. So we talk to lots of players and want to basically answer any questions they might have about our league, our team, our development system. When we brought in Connor and Mark McCauley, who's one of our assistant coaches, part of our plan was to be committed to player development. And the 3 of us are relatively younger guys who want to work on that. And we're focused on winning a Buckland Cup, but we're also focused on advancing players to that next level. So a lot of the players you'll see coming into Pickering, and I think in the OJHL in general, will be younger players whose dream is to play in the CHL. So a big talking point with us is the comfort level for the player coming here, and also just the family answering any questions they have. It can be a big stepping stone for kids at 16 or 17 to leave home to come to a different city or country. So I just want to make sure the family's comfortable with their decision and make sure that it's the best decision for them as a player. So continue to have those interviews and chat with lots of players and just get to know them and their families. So, I think they all vary based on what the player wants or needs, and there's no real script or anything like that. It's more of a get to know you and answer any questions.
What's the most satisfying thing? And maybe to ask you to narrow it down to one is pretty challenging, but can you identify the most satisfying thing about being a GM in elite hockey?
I think obviously winning is super important in any capacity, working for a team or playing on a team. I think you want to win, whether it's a game or a championship or anything like that. But I think for me as a general manager, just based on my experience in the past, it is truly the player development piece. So just advancing players to different teams and leagues. Last year, we lost to Trenton in the first year of the playoffs, which obviously was disappointing for our team. But once that ended, we were pretty committed to moving players on to whether it was the OHL or U Sports or NCAA. And there's definitely a lot of satisfaction in advancing these young men to, start their careers or start their education and let them know that there's more than just hockey going on. While they might play at the next level, there's so much ahead of them, whether it's pro hockey or if it's just a career, right? So a lot of focus goes into that. So player development's huge for me, but so is winning. So those are really the two biggest things for me.
And I like the way the smile took over when you said, and so is winning. So that's awesome. That's really good. So when does the season get underway? I know it's very soon, and you've already got your schedule posted on your website. And what's the cost of getting in so you can watch a game?
Yeah, so it's definitely sneaking up on us. Our training camp gets going in 2 weeks now, which is crazy to say. It feels like we were just finishing up the playoffs. Our exhibition gets going in 3 weeks now, so we're going to be playing 3 exhibition games, one against Kirkland Lake and 2 against Aurora. So those tickets are $5, and they're going to be at Chestnut Hill, our home rink there we'll be playing at. And then our regular season gets going the following weekend, so it'll be the first weekend after Labor Day weekend. And that's when things really get going. So we kick off the season against Stouffville, and we'll continue our 56-game season. Tickets are $15 for adults throughout the year, cheaper for students and cheaper for kids. So we'd love to have fans out there. Anyone that's been to Panthers games in the past, or if you've never been to a Panthers game, I think the OJHL games are going to start to get a little bit more attention now with the talent level coming down. So definitely don't be a stranger if you're looking to get out and watch some junior hockey. We're the OJ team of Durham Regions, so we welcome anyone out to our rink.
Every once in a while, I get to be replace your PA announcer, so I get a front row seat for those games, and they really are exciting, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of very skilled hockey players, and it's a great way to watch hockey. So that's awesome. And how can a player reach out to you if they're interested in playing in the OJ?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to reach out is on our website. We've got a Panthers junior hockey page there. That'd be the best way to reach out to us specifically. We definitely welcome any player that wants to get looked at. We'll come out and watch them, or watch some film, or we'll have them out to our camp. We definitely welcome any opportunity for players. So feel free to go on our website. The contact info's on there, and you never know who you'll find out there. So definitely welcome any emails or interests there.
That's awesome. Sean, thank you very much for meeting me here at Exit 425 and speaking so well of the, as you point out, the Durham's only OJ team. And it is fun hockey to watch. And having played a little bit at that level 200 years ago when I was a player, it's pretty exciting hockey to play as well. So thank you for taking the time to speak to me today.
Thanks for having us, or having me, I guess. Looking forward to an exciting year, and hopefully see you at the rink.